So we will get started because it's already 10:04 on my side, and I want to talk as much as I can about the good stuff, which is going to be today. I added this on Friday, and it's a really good one that I give my clients that I think is helpful. And I say mirror metaphor because the idea is that really everything that we experience in life is like a mirror to us. And let me first start off by saying, like, perception. Like, what is perception? And I spoke about this before, but perception is really the lenses that are over your eyes, over all your experiences that determine how you see something. So, everybody looking at me right now on the screen and engaging with me, by listening, are having this experience, and nobody else can have this experience because only you can be where you're sitting right now. Either that be in your home, at work, or wherever it is that you are. Only you can be sitting in that very same spot, just like I can only be the one sitting here, looking at my screen, talking at this very moment to you all. So perception is what determines, how we see the world. And so when we can become aware of how we perceive things, being aware of that alone is awakening. It's very awakening. So the mirror metaphor, the mirror analogy is a way for us to become more awakened. And I'll give you an example. So let's say, I'll start off by saying, let's say I'm driving on the street and then all of a sudden someone pulls over and crosses in front of me and cuts me off. I would be like, what the heck's wrong with this person? And get all, mad and upset and start yelling at them and cursing at them or whatever. But the thing is, they are not really doing this to me directly, but I'm taking it quite personally. I'm calling them a dick. What's wrong with them? Because I'm taking it very personally. So, but the reality is that I'm being triggered by them. They are just having a really bad day, and so they cut me off and they're in a rush to get someone, but they triggered me. So I have a button. I have a button for them, for someone cutting me off, and I reacted by that. And so the idea is to just think well, number one, okay, I'm reacting because of them, and also haven't I done this before? So it's finding the commonality. Okay, well, I too have cut someone off. I too have been, maybe inconsiderate or not aware and just really, in a rush. And then when you become aware that other people too, that you have done the same thing that other people have too, then it really, you kind of let go of it and it doesn't bother you so much. So then you're eliminating that button. The same thing happens for relationships. I'll give you me as an example. Let's say one time I came home and this is when I was in corporate America. So I worked, long hours, went to work super early in the morning and then came home pretty late. It was 7, 8 o'clock in the evening. So I'm coming home pretty late. I'm really just wanting to come home and relax, and, there's dishes in the sink and, no food in the house or anything to really cook. So, I'm in a pretty upset mood already, and I get mad at my partner because he doesn't even say anything to me, doesn't even say how my day was or anything. He just kind of is moody himself. So I immediately get upset at him. Immediately, him just ignoring me kind of made me even more upset, not even asking how my day is. So I'm like, what is wrong with you? Can't you just do the dishes, or help out in the house? Or you didn't even ask how my day is. My day was so hard, and I'm just giving him a hard time. And, I'm being triggered by him, not even saying something. And I even thought to myself, I'm like, oh my goodness, he's so selfish. He's so inconsiderate. How can he be so selfish or inconsiderate? But then it hit me. I was like, holy crap, I'm being selfish. Because I didn't even think how his day was. And that he maybe had a pretty bad day as well. I was just being reactive. And when we can use that approach of seeing the commonality in how we are being and how others could reflect that, to us, then we can kind of become more awakened. Is this stuff making sense? Please reply with any questions if so. So if we are able to see something in others, it is either that we are rejecting it or not accepting it or not seeing it. So if we cannot see something in others, then we are rejecting it or not seeing it. So for example, the car pulling in front of you and cutting you off, if we cannot see that and accept it, that we too have been impatient, cut in front of people, that means we are rejecting an aspect that is within ourselves. We are rejecting that part of us, that we too have been inconsiderate, that we too have been cut someone off, and that we too have been like this other person. And so that's the mirror in front of us, that it's constantly pinging back at us what people are doing to us, and recognizing that so that we can see the commonality and no longer let it affect us. Yes, absolutely makes sense, but a little hard to see aspects sometimes. Yeah, it is very hard. So I'll try to give as many ways to explain this if I can. So please ask questions so I can kind of give different ways of explaining this concept of seeing that everything is our mirror, everything is reflecting off of us, because we are radiating that energy into the world, and that is bouncing back to us. So it's the same thing, like, we do attract certain, like attracts like. So if we are like in a really upset, sad or angry, space or state, then we can, it's the whole concept around like misery loves company. because it is that state that is essentially feeding itself, that upset state. And when we're happy, then we kind of radiate positivity. Yes, also the positive aspects. Absolutely. Yeah, I was just about to say that, Anne. So when we're happy and positive, then we just kind of like radiate that positive, happy energy. It is a reflection, really, of what's inside of us. This weekend, that the person who annoys me most is, yes, exactly, Dee. That is the mirror. They are the best teachers, because if they are annoying you, then that means you have buttons. You have something that is being pushed, that is within you. That is the reflection. They are bouncing things off into you because you have buttons. And the fact that you actually have those buttons that can be pushed by someone is something that is the biggest and best teacher you can ever have in life. And so definitely look at those things that are triggering us, because that is a reflection of something we need to look at. Just like someone cutting you off. Someone cuts you off and you're being triggered by that and getting angry and upset. Your anger and upsetness really has nothing to do with that person, because that person's going to go on their way, go to work and be angry and upset, but really you had no effect on their life at all. Maybe you'll fling them the finger and yell and get mad at them, but there's nothing that you can really do to change them. But we can change our inner world and not let that affect us. And how we do that first is by acknowledging it and seeing that, hey, someone's pushing my buttons. Someone is triggering me here. Why am I getting upset? And one way of also doing that is just looking at the commonality in that. So, okay, I'm getting upset that they're cutting me off. I'm getting upset because they're inconsiderate, or, I too need to get someone, or I feel like I'm not, they're not acknowledging me or being considerate and thinking that I'm not important. And so that may be a hidden belief that's kind of coming up to the surface. I don't know. But it is a way for us to just look at that, and those emotions or things that are coming up by those around us, triggering us, to be able to sizzle it or not allow it to have you react on it. And so just like the example I given a minute ago about my partner, the minute I realized, I was like, wow, I am being selfish. I was being inconsiderate. Because sure enough, to find out, he really had a rough day too. That's why there were a lot of dishes in the sink. And but in the end, both of our intentions are not to make our lives any harder or worse or anything. It is to be there and support each other. And sometimes we cannot be there to support each other, or rely on each other to support each other if we cannot support ourselves first. And so, obviously in that moment, I cannot expect him to lift me up if I cannot lift myself up. I was just in a really tough mood. So I literally just sat with myself and I found a way, like meditated through it and contemplated on the emotions and listened to the emotions, and really found it like, whoa, I'm rejecting the idea. Again, if we do not see being reactive on something, very reactive, is either something we are rejecting or not seeing. So I did not want to see that I too was being selfish. I did not want to even acknowledge that I too was being inconsiderate. I did not want to acknowledge that I too was being, just at that moment feeling like I was not good enough, and feeling like I was not worthy or not, not good, basically. And, I kind of thought that, oh, well, if he did this and this and this, then he would care for me. Then that means he cares for me. But that's not the truth. The truth is that he is human and so am I. So once I was able to see the commonality between us both, that he too has moments of feeling down and upset and being, being overwhelmed by work, and also being, needing to do whatever he needs to do for himself. And I saw that within myself. Like, I was being selfish, and that's okay. That's me being human. I can have moments in my selflessness or selfishness. And, just finding what it is that I needed at that moment to kind of sizzle me down or to not be triggered so much. So now when I come home and I see dishes in the sink, we both definitely found a balance. that goes with any relationship. You find a balance and just understanding, what days it's not important to focus on those small things. Really in the end, all he wanted to do is just kind of veg out and relax and unwind from the day. And the same with me. I just wanted to veg out and relax and wind down from the day. So we ended up getting Uber Eats and not doing the dishes, for example. So again, the mirror is every experience that we have is the greatest teacher you will ever acquire, because everything and anything we are becoming reactive on or from is something either we're rejecting or not acknowledging or not seeing within ourselves. And when we can see that that is within ourselves, there's no need to be upset with ourselves about it, but it is a way to be observant and just acknowledge that, I am human. I have these emotions, and that's okay. So there's a really good book, The Dark Side of the Light, I believe it's called, Dark Side of the Light. The book talks about it's shadow work and talks about triggers and buttons. It's a really good book as well, and it has a similar concept of this mirror of things being reflective of us and us not rejecting or accepting that if it is something that we are not acknowledging that is within ourselves. Because everything we can acknowledge that to a greater or less extent that we have done ourselves. Either that be someone cutting us off, and it's not a conscious thing, it's something that is unconscious because we are not fully aware. And that is the main thing of recognizing for us to become more aware. And so if we can become more aware of how we are being pinged, how we are engaging, what is coming back to us, what relationships are coming back to us, what jobs are coming back to us, what scenarios or events keep on coming back to us are our lessons and our reflections that are coming out of us too. And I hope this is making sense how I'm explaining this. So just let me know any questions about this. Person is annoying. Yeah. So this goes back to the energy, the energy work. Like, I had a question before about, why is it important about, really doing this work? Why is it important? It's important because, we become more self-aware, we become more self-actualized, and we're able to kind of raise our vibrations. And if we can do that, then we're able to manifest a life or an experience within life that is far more enjoyable. So if we change what is with inside, and if we're holding on to any beliefs or anything that can trigger us, some people will run away from certain events or experiences, but that doesn't mean that we're addressing them. We're just ignoring them. We're just ignoring the mirror, really. But it will bounce back to you somehow. So certain events, I've met clients that will move. They will physically move to different locations and just go to different places once it gets rough in one place, because they say, oh, I just need to get out of here. I just need to move. And that brings the idea that wherever you are, you will follow. So wherever you are, your mirror will follow you. And so whatever is being held within, that vibrational state that's being held within, will project out to the world no matter where you go, because you are your house. You are that place. And so when we can clear anything that is bothering us, such as someone or something that is triggering us, then we can grow and learn from that and see what it is that they are bouncing off of me. If someone is doing something and that is annoying us, for example, then we can ask ourselves, why are they annoying us? What is it that makes us annoyed? Every time my boyfriend would do something, it usually came down to me not feeling like I am good enough, that I am not worthy. It always usually cycled back to that, just because of my past and my history and my life experiences. So it kept on going back to, I'm like, oh, this is interesting. Why is this coming up? Oh, it makes me feel like I'm not worthy and I'm not good enough. And that realization is very empowering, because I would help myself through, like, what is the truth? I'm absolutely good enough and worthy. And so those things that would have pinged me before no longer ping me. And this is a lifelong process of learning and doing with all events. And still, even to this day, I'll get pinged by mom. Done a lot of work with mom, and there was a time where I'm like, oh gosh, I couldn't even be in the same room with her for a week. like a week I would go crazy. I'm like, okay mom, bye. But now that time has extended longer, I can be with her for long periods of time. I very much enjoy time with her now. But it's taken some time to be able to get to that point where, I just understand that she has her own limitations as well. And sometimes, is a bit unconscious of things that she may do or say. But it's not for me to be reactive on that. It's just to be aware that she simply is human and having a human experience and learning to do the best that she can do. And if she triggers me, then just looking inside why I'm being triggered. What is it that I am not, being compassionate about? Oh, that's a big word. Compassion is this process of reflecting the commonality. So a lot of people throw out the word compassion, and that, oh, just being compassionate, you need to be compassionate, or have more compassion for me, have more compassion for you, or whatever it may be. But what does compassion mean? I mean, when you really grasp upon what it is, and I'll tell you, once these concepts came into place, I was like, oh my God, yeah, that's so compassion. In order to be compassionate with someone or for someone or something, even for yourself, there has to be a form of understanding that, like, for example, the guy that cut me off, that they're having a bad day and, they're just going through it. And maybe too, I may be having a bad day and just in a rush and need to get somewhere. And the next one is acceptance. Accepting that this happened and it's what happened. And, there's nothing I could change about that. Just, I accept what happened. Then there's commonality. Commonality, understanding that I too have done something to a greater or less extent. So I can have commonality with this person. And then forgiveness. Forgiveness is a huge part. I forgive them. I forgive them for just having a rough day, for being human, and for cutting me off. And I forgive myself for also being human and maybe reacting and yelling. But I forgive myself for being human, and that's okay. We can let this go. And then last one is just love. Love for all humans, love for myself, love just knowing that we are human, we're all here on this earth, just really with a greater, deeper meaning, if we're willing to look at it, to just help each other and to grow and to learn and to have, a common community, a community where we can connect and grow in this world that we're in. And so when you have those 5 things, love, acceptance, understanding, forgiveness, and commonality, then you can truly have a deep understanding of compassion. Compassion in anybody that may be triggering you, including yourself. Compassion for yourself. The mirror, the ability to see the mirror and to look in the mirror, not the mirror of our reflection, I mean the mirror of life. Everything that is going on and how that is reflecting back to you is the biggest teacher of all. And again, I hope this is all making sense. I can kind of repeat things. Let me know any questions, anything at all. I am going to make this a shorter one, so we got another 5 minutes. If anybody wants to pick up or ask any additional questions at all. No, man, it's quiet today. Maybe everybody's feeling like me, relaxed. So does everybody understand kind of, hello, I've always felt like I wasn't important, and I seem to attract people that confirm that. Yeah, exactly. I was always attracting people that made me feel I'm not worthy or not good enough. And I seem to attract that because I needed to learn something. And so we learn what it is that, we need to learn. And I guarantee you, just because I've experienced it, that once we let go of those beliefs, then they no longer reflect back that you are unworthy. For me, that was the case. So once you are able to see, Deb, that you are very important in every way, you've added importance even in here, then you will no longer see people reflect that towards you at all. So that is part of the healing journey, to no longer get that. Thank you, Amani. Thank you. Feel the same way. It's a big disappointment that what I am experiencing is a reflection. Yeah. So, it's a lesson. It is a lesson. The lesson is to not be disappointed in yourself for being human. This is the healing process is not easy. It's not easy. And some people will not go all the way. And some people will stop and give up or just take a break, because it is not easy to look at ourselves. It is the hardest thing. But the most important thing is that we have grace with ourselves, because we are our biggest critic. Like, we usually are the hardest on ourselves. Like, it's crazy to think that, I wrote a book. It's publishing very shortly, in probably a month. It's called Medicine Woman. And I wrote the part, because I'm a medical doctor, so I wrote about the part that when I was in med school. And when I was in med school, my parents were not around, so I was very, I paid myself through school. My mom, was in recovery, a drug addict, so she was not around. I was in foster care, so I was very much feeling abandoned most of my life. And when I was in med school, I very much compared myself a lot with others, compared big time. And I would do it unconsciously. I would tell myself, oh, you're not good enough. You're not going to be a good doctor. Why are you trying to fool yourself? How can you even think that you're going to help people? How are you going to think that you're going to be able to, to heal or help or do any of that? Like, I was telling myself that over and over in med school. And when I first realized that, I was like, oh my God, you're even horrible. What's wrong with you? How can you be doing this? Why are you doing this? So I was doing even again. I was being even harder on myself again. And so you realize, like, you need to give yourself a break. We need to give ourselves a break, because we would never tell these things to our friends. Like a true friend, a real friend. I'll never forget this quote from someone, from a mentor. They told me, a true friend sees you better than you see yourself. And ain't that the truth? Because we usually don't see ourselves as good. And that is something to just recognize, to see yourself as good, because you are good. And we are human, and we are just having an experience and learning from it. And there's no need for us to beat us down even more for being human. That is the process of just accepting that we are learning, and we are going to be better, and we will continue to do better however we need to. And that is part of the healing journey. It's just simply it. So great to know I am a work in process. Yeah. Oh, thank you. I'm so happy. That you're learning from these talks. I really am. I want to give more. I want to give more, because I've been there. I have been there. We are all a work in process. I am too. I am at work. This did not form from, just it formed from a lot of self-hate before, a lot of self-doubt, a lot of just, again, being hard on myself, but wanting to no longer do that anymore. And so, this came from just really getting to a point where I'm like, I'm done beating myself up. Let's find something better. And that better is to love. To just love this fully, like give this love. And one practice that I do like, that is really simple, to heal those limiting from compassion, acceptance of ourselves. Yes. Number one is love, compassion, acceptance for ourselves. Yes. Acknowledging those beliefs, love, compassion, and acceptance for ourselves. And that does go along with what I was about to say, is there's a practice called Honoponopono. You may have heard of it, but it's a really beautiful mantra. And it's just saying the same thing. It's a psychiatrist actually in Hawaii back in the 60s, I believe it was, that he was in a psych ward, and he basically took, I think it was like 15 clients that were in the psych ward from really severe mental illnesses, and he really did not see them in person. Actually, you can look this up. Again, it's called Honoponopono. It's a Hawaiian practice, a Hawaiian tradition. And it is a mantra, and basically he would meditate, say this mantra on these clients, on these charts, on these patients, but he would not see them in person. And come to find out, he was able to heal them all by doing this mantra. So it's a beautiful mantra, and I always will do it to myself too. I do it to myself. I tell myself, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And that's the mantra. It's I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And you say it over and over. And this mantra is very similar to a loving kindness meditation. I'm not sure if, I created a loving kindness meditation with open heart in my profile. I did it for our clients, so it's on there. So feel free to check it out. But it's very similar of just like giving yourself love and giving others. You can hold someone, in your mind, and even give that Honoponopono to that person. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. Anybody that you need that for healing, you can do that mantra, and that really helps with clearing way for that compassion, that acceptance, and that love, which is very, very healing. Oh, thank you, Eve. Thank you. That is my personal mission, is to just, share my experiences, because I am no different than all of you. And, and I think that is unfortunately one of the things that gets taken away from, like a traditional model, for example, is that, some professionals kind of get seen as like this, like know all be all, but really they don't know. I don't know everything, and I am human, so I am still learning and exploring, And so I love just exploring and learning this journey with everybody. I've used it, yeah. Yeah, we always need reminders, Seb, so it's all good. I do too. I do too. My dog's that reminder too. Reminders to just bring yourself to this moment in time, this present place. You know, those are great reminders. Nature is a great reminder. Awesome. Man, I so enjoy these. I love just engaging with everybody. I'm gonna close up, but I will be on tomorrow for a little bit longer. And tomorrow we're talking about purpose, drive. I'm gonna start off with that, purpose and drive, and just kind of going over some tips on how I've helped people find that and have more conversations. And yeah, I'll let you know about that group, and hopefully it'll be live tomorrow. And also I uploaded last lecture on my last talk on Thursday or Friday. Gosh, the days blend. On my Instagram, which is Ann Balkansky. So I'll do the same with this one. I may put it on YouTube as well. You know, you can let me know. I don't know what platform. I'm still, you know, posting on just different platforms to see who, you know, attracts to it and wants to see it wherever. Awesome. Thank you so much, though. Thank you. And I look forward to chatting with everybody tomorrow. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. And much love to all of you. Thank you so much. Bye.